Teacher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another Ironhack webinar. Welcome everyone who already said hello. My name is Raquel. I'm talking to you from Lisbon, and this is Dina. She's talking to you from Amsterdam. Would love to know where you guys are seeing us from, but before we go any further, for those of you who are new here, as I said before, I'm Raquel and I work data analytics and UX UI design, and most recently cybersecurity, both remote and in campus. In campus spread around Europe and America. So if you want to know a bit more about Ironhack and what we do in our upcoming webinars, which are free, of course, and other resources, you have here a green button below the videos that you can look for extra information. But besides Ironhack, just let me start by explaining you a little bit about Crowdcast, if it's the first time that you're here. And I'm glad to see we have people from Lisbon, Berlin. Hi. In here you have discovered the chat. I can see that that is a place where you can leave comments, where you can leave your feedback, where you can say hello. If you're an alumni from Ironhack, would love to know if you're here from another bootcamp, or if you're starting, would love to know. So this is where you can leave your feedbacks and your comments, and you can interact with each other. But if you want to ask questions, and we will have space for you to answer questions, please do so in the Ask a Question section that you see here below the videos. It's going to be easier for us to manage and to moderate your questions. Dina is going to be presenting the webinar, and it's going to be a practical one, so a little bit of theory in the beginning, and then you're gonna be able to actually practice a little. So maybe you will have a few questions. Try to leave them and to keep up and leave the most important ones to the end. Even though we will open a space for a live Q&A in the end, Dina will try to make a break to answer your questions in the middle. But in any case, remember to always leave them in the Ask a Question so they don't get lost in the chat. Okay? You can also upvote them. So if you see a question that you need to see answered, you can upvote other people's question. A lot of people from Amsterdam, from Portugal, even from Porto, Barcelona. Amazing. All right. So, and last but not least, this webinar is recorded for those of you who are asking. So if you feel like you're missing some step, or if you need to review it, or you can stay until the very end, no worries, because you can see the recording and it's going to be accessible through this very link. In any case, you will receive a follow-up email so you don't forget, and you can keep it, and you can keep on coming to our webinars through that. I think that's it. Let me know from your answers, because I see you have a lot of people even from Berlin, Monique, amazing. Berlin, but considering Madrid, all right. We have some people in here from all over the world, and that's amazing. So I see that you can hear me well and you can see me well, I'm imagining. But if at any point you are having some trouble hearing or seeing, please leave it in the chat so we can know how to deal with this. And some other questions that I've seen this one or two times. This webinar is totally for beginners. For those of you who have no experience or very little experience with UX UI design or the tool Figma, and you will be able to make an exercise. In fact, I will, after I start talking, I will share with you a link from Figma, which is an online tool, so you don't even have to install any app. You can use it online. And if you have troubles hearing the webinar itself, please make sure that you are on Chrome. It always works better on Chrome. And for those of you asking how long this will be available, well, as long as we keep on teaching and giving webinars, so forever, I guess. So I think now I'm going to pass the word to Dina, and she will continue with the webinar.
Thank you, Raquel, and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this Monday evening, and I hope that you will get to learn something really useful. Let me introduce myself first. As Raquel already mentioned, I am tuning in from Amsterdam. I'm part of the teaching team for UX UI design full-time course here. And I'm UX UI designer myself. I'm specializing in all the different kinds of design, starting from the very small landing pages and all the way up to B2B platforms for larger companies, both for web and for like mobile applications. So I hope I have something to share with you tonight. As Raquel already mentioned as well, this is for totally suitable for beginners. And please go ahead and register on Figma website, create your account, because we're going to need it today to our practical part of the webinar. So the faster you do it, the better. And I will do a couple of breaks during the presentation for the questions. One will be after we wrap up the theoretical part, because I would like to give you a small intro to UX UI design, to prototyping, to why we are actually using Figma for these very purposes. And then we'll do a Q&A, the short one. Then we will go to Figma and start designing. And some way in between, I will also leave you some space for the questions. So don't worry, just post your questions in ask a question section, and then I will try to answer all of them. So let's get started. Let me share my screen.
Oh, good. We can see the presentation, Dina.
Perfect. Thank you. Give me a second here. Okay, I believe we're all set now, right?
All good.
So for those of you who are here and not knowing what you're doing, actually, we're going to talk about how to build and prototype an app using Figma. What we're going to do today is first, I will do the short setup for our webinar. I'm going to share some useful links with you. And then, as I promised, I will briefly go through the basics of UX UI design, of prototyping, general interactions, animations, and prototyping in Figma. And then we'll go straight to designing something in Figma. So what will we be designing? That would be a movie theater app, something like this, where you will get to apply different prototyping gestures such as scrolling, dragging, clicking, and so on. So you will get to learn by doing. That's how we actually learn something at Ironhack, how to not only build the wireframe, but also prototype in Figma. What do we need? You would go to figma.com, the link that Raquel shared with you, and create a free account. It's web, so you open it from Chrome. You don't need any app installed as of now, though there is an option. You can do it later if you enjoy it that much. Optionally, you can go to Google Store or to App Store and get the Figma Neuro app, which will allow you to see your designs right away on the screen. Like, for example, right now I have on mine, whatever I have on Figma, I can see directly on my phone. So that actually helps when we get to design mobile apps. And please follow this link. I'm going to share it in the chat as well, a little bit later, but it's basically bit.ly/prototype-ih and there you will get the assets that we will need for this prototype. There you will find images, icons, and the link to Figma files. So please write down this link. And now let's get to talk about the basics of UX UI. First things first is what is actually the distinction between UX and UI design? Because I know that a lot of you here are pretty new to tech, though some of you are already being in the industry. But user experience, if to put it shortly, stands for UX is user experience, and this is how the product works. At the same time, UI stands for user interface, and it shows how product. Design of the user interfaces and experiences is also commonly referred to as product design or screen design in reference to the specific product that's being created. And UI design generally focuses on the overall feel of a product, including its visual design. And UX design is concentrated about around storytelling, customer journey aspects of a product, where it could be a website or an app. How do we actually start building prototypes? Normally, when you have an idea, the easiest way to put it is actually to start sketching, because for a lot of people, they put their thoughts on the paper. It's easier than try to draw, like to write down something in Word to explain it. You just draw it. And that's how you get the very, very lo-fi wireframes of your idea. And from then, you can already start building your prototype. You can go to any design tools such as Figma, Sketch, Adobe XD, Principle, and so on, and start developing your prototype going from low fidelity to high fidelity. But what's the main difference between the sketch and the prototype is that prototype should be interactive. So if sketches or any kind of wireframe, they are static, so prototype needs to be linked from screen to screen to show the interaction. And the important thing there is to remember that prototype doesn't have to be perfect, because it is created in order to participate in the whole iteration process. It needs to be tested and revealed if necessary. It's totally normal that while you're developing your product, you go through this process again and again. As I've mentioned, prototypes could be low or high fidelity representations of your product. And the main goal is to provide a simulation of the user interface interaction. For example, sketches, they can show the content, the question, what they're actually designing, the structure, meaning what elements you have where. So another question to be answered is the basic visualization is like how you're going to present these or that elements. And prototypes are low to high fidelity representation of your product. So it's okay, you build them, you connect them, you can test them even when they're at low fidelity. The earlier you start to try to test them, the better. Another thing that I would like to mention today, which is indirectly can link to what we're going to do today, is responsive web design. Because we get to hear about it a lot, but what it actually is, it's the changes of the layout of your digital product depending on the device. Because you know that these days we are using all the different kind of devices to access apps or websites. It could be a phone, it could be iPhone, it could be any of the Android phones, it could be I don't know, like laptop, computer, all the different types of devices. And while designing, we don't have to design for each and every single like physical device, because for example there are like 14,000 different devices that are working on Android. So what we're taking into consideration is the viewport size. Say, we're designing for something that when the width is up to, say, 375 pixels, it will look like that. When it goes up to 748 pixels, it will already have 2 columns instead of 1. Or then it goes, say, to 1120 pixels, which is kind of a small desktop version, then it will have a different layout. So that's what we have to take into consideration there is the screen real estate, meaning like how many elements we can actually see on one fold. User context, so whether they are using something at their work computer or somewhere on the go in the traffic, or maybe they're like looking for something in the night or in the dark conditions, like for example in the movie theater maybe. And then the goals the user tries to achieve, the surroundings, the consistency, and all these things that we have to take into consideration. And talking about prototyping in Figma, I would like to start with explaining you why we are selecting Figma as our main design tool these days. It became extremely popular last year, more than ever, because it's all-in-one platform. You can design in it, you can prototype, you can share it, you can collect feedback. And the most important thing is that it is web-based, meaning that you can access it from the computer of working different operation systems. So there are no really requirements to that one. And you also can collaborate, meaning that if you have a team of designers or designers and developers, all of you can be in one file at the same time. And that helps a lot, especially these days when everyone is working from home. Interactions and animations is one of the major parts of today's webinar. So why do we actually need them? Because the goal of animations is not just solely to have a cool effect, to make it looking fancy, your product, but also it has to be meaningful, meaning that animation should provide user with the information about like what they have to do next. Well, if they have made any interaction with your product, the system will respond. Say, for example, if you are pressing a button and then you would like to see a confirmation that it was submitted. So all these things we show through animations and micro interaction. So animation for UX is not only an extra layer of makeup for your product. Adding emotion to your interaction design can enhance usability, guiding the user through the flow, helping them understand how to navigate through your product. But how we actually create animations? Tools like Figma, Sketch, Adobe XD, InVision, these are all pretty popular these days. They all allow us to take pictures of any sketch or image that you have and turn it into a prototype. So this means that you can even go as drawing something, making a picture of it to your mobile phone, linking it to your Figma file, and then linking the screens. You already have the very basic prototype to test. Or you can actually build your own screen designs right there in any of those tools using the design panel. And that's exactly what we are going to do today. And when we will get to setting the interactions between the screens, you will see that on the animation panel, we will have different things such as trigger, action, destination, and animation. So I would like to get you a little bit more familiar with all these terms right now, and then I will show you how they work. So trigger determines what type of interaction with the hotspot will cause the prototype to actually start working. So the basic one is on tap or on click, depending on what you are designing for. Tap is for mobile and click is for desktop. On the hotspot of your prototype, that means that the trigger will be like once you tap on something, the prototype will advance. On drag, there is no need to explain this, I believe, because this is a very common gesture right now on mobile, on hovering, on mouse, enter mouse, leave. So these are all the interactions that your user can do with your product. Action is something that will follow after that trigger. So action could be here, like you can navigate to another screen of your prototype, or you can open the link, external link. Maybe you would link it to, I don't know, your website or anything like that. Or you can open an overlay, which is really a good function as well, and we are going to use it today. Scroll to if you would like to jump to a particular part of your page, like there are so-called anchor links. The developer should be familiar with this term. Swap overlay is when you are swapping one overlay to another one, and more of those. Animation is how that action will be performed. Because the easiest way, of course, is instant. So instantly it will change from one frame to another. Dissolve, that is already a little bit smoother. Smart Animate is something that we have now in advanced design tools like Figma is. So the transition will be really smooth, and it will take the layers from one screen and search for the similar ones on another one, and then make a smooth transition based on the difference between the different states. And now let's see what we will design today, a little bit more in detail. We're going to, at least I'm aiming to design at least 3 full screens and then the overlay. On the first screen, we will start with the header and the footer. Then we will create the card. Card is something that we can replicate once we have one of those. It will be extremely easy to do the rest, not only by copy pasting, but actually creating a reusable component. You will see how much time you can save on creating something like that. And then we'll jump to detailed movie information page. As you can see here, it will be a little bit like the image will change. Then we'll have the text with a different hierarchy of information, like for the headers, for description with some utility information, and we're adding the QR code to it. From QR code, and also here I am adding the cards, which is again something that all of us are very familiar. Well, like on drag, you can move between the cards. We're going to show that as well. And finally, when clicking on the QR code, we will take an action, which will be an overlay, and we'll see this one imitating us using this app in the movie theater. So let's start designing. Please open this link, which will be bit.ly/prototype-figma-file. So there you will have you can see the file that I will be working in, so you cannot edit it. At the same time, you can have that window open as well, so that you can go back and forth between your file where you are designing and mine to see if you need some more details on the sizing, on the colors, and so on. But before we move forward with this, as I promised, I would like to go through your questions on the theoretical part, if you have them. So let's see. Thank you, Raquel. Here we have a link to the assets.
Yeah, maybe I can help you a little bit with the questions, because some people here were asking in the beginning, and I'm guessing this is a common answer, and someone here already gave some answers, and you mentioned this a little bit. But what's the main difference between Figma and Sketch and InVision? So maybe you can give a little bit of review why they're different and what's the advantage of one or the others, actually.
Yes, of course. So I personally would compare Figma and Sketch as being pretty equal one to another. There is one big plus to Figma, is that first of all it's free and it allows to like collaboration. Sketch doesn't do it. And another major restriction that Sketch has is that it's only for iOS. A part of being paid version, it's about $100 a year license. But again, you will need my computer for that one. At the same time, it used to be, at least till 2020, the major design tool. So a lot of big teams, the big company, they are still in Sketch. InVision, I would put it a little bit separated from there, because InVision is more of about prototyping than designing itself. So yes, they do offer you a lot of design options there on the design panel, so you can do something from scratch, but it's not just as easy as doing it in Figma or Sketch. That's the main difference. At the same time, don't worry if you get to learn either Figma or Sketch or InVision. To switch from one tool to another one, it will be a matter of days for you, because they're really, really similar in the basics.
Perfect. I hope that answered your question, guys. Let us know if that was clear, and maybe we can tackle this in the end again if it was not clear. And someone here in the beginning was asking, but maybe this is a question for the end, so let me know if it will take too long and we'll leave for the end. The difference between a UX UI designer and the product designer.
Product designer is a bigger version of UX UI designer, because UX UI designer is a more specific part of the product design. So I would, shortly, I would put it that way.
Maybe Hiva, let us know if this is enough. So maybe to move on right now for the practical parts, if this is not clear, we can further explain this in the end. What do you think, Tina?
Yes, I would totally can talk more about it towards the end. Just keep it in Q&A section there. If someone also is interested, just upload it, and then we will talk about it.
Yeah, and just one last question here from Katie. I'm not sure if you're going to tackle this during the exercise. Once the design is in production, can you replace artwork without having to redo the animation swipes and properties?
Wait. I think I haven't heard you properly. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Once the design is in production, can you replace artwork without having to redo the animation swipes and properties?
Yes and no. It really depends on in particular case. But if you are replacing, say for example, on the screen you're replacing an image or particular element, then yes. At the same time, if you're replacing the whole screen, I mean, you're deleting it, that means that it will delete the interaction on it as well. But you will have to redo only that screen that you are changing. It does mean that you will break the whole thing on your 120 screens.
I hope that answered, Katie. I hope that's what you wanted to learn. So we don't have more technical questions from what I can see in here that we can tackle now. So maybe just so a reminder, guys, for those of you who arrived maybe later, right now we're doing the presentation and we're doing the webinar, but in the end, we will have space for Q&A, live Q&A. And right now we're going to tackle a practical exercise, but in the end, you will have space for us to answer your questions. So make sure that you leave them on the Ask a Question section, because otherwise they can get lost in the chat. And for sure, we won't be able to answer them all. So please leave them on the Ask a Question section. And don't worry if you're missing a point, because this webinar is recorded, so you can review some stuff later if you need. All right, I'll let you do it now, Dina.
Thank you so much. Let me now switch to my Figma file. So I hope that everyone who is planning on following along the design practice, you already have the assets folder open. If so, download it to your computer because we're going to need the folders with icons and images in order to insert them into our prototype. So you go here, press download, and you get the folder to your computer. This is the Figma file that I've created for you with the most important components already built for you here. And I also did some color swatches. And inserted all the text that we're going to need. And so my page is reloading. You can get the file following the link, which you have in Q&A section there. So it's bit.ly prototype Figma file. Or also you have that link in prototype-ihack, and then there you have the file with a link to Figma file. So you can go inside and you have that link there as well. So there are two ways of accessing it. And again, for those who just joined us, there is a recording. So if I'm going a little bit too fast, don't worry. You can always go back to the recording and check it out. So. Interesting. Give me a second. I cannot see my instrument panel actually on the file. Okay. So they say that there are more than 50 people working on my file right now. So I have an open view only. I will have to do something different then. Okay, but I will walk you through Figma, yes. So here in the main tool, in the recent tab, you can see all the files that you created. You can press on plus here to add a new file, but I'm just going to duplicate the file that I've sent to you as well. And I will have to work in it. And then I will just add the screens one by one, I believe, to the file that you are in. So let's just quickly introduce the Figma tool. Here we have the layers panel on the left. We do have the design panel and prototype panel and inspect on the right, depending on the type on the top you press. From this panel, you can select move scale, this important thing. You can add any of these shapes. You have rectangles, lines, arrows, and so on and so forth. There are all the shortcuts for a lot of them, so I'm not going to apply them, and I'll try to comment on the shortcuts so that you can get familiar with them as well. The text tool and the pen tool for vectors. This is the canvas where we are working. And how we normally start designing something is, say, I would delete this one, and I will go to adding a new frame. How you can add a new frame or artboard is by clicking F for frame or A for artboard on your keyboard. When you press that F, you get to see all the different screen sizes that you have, at least the most commonly used. So I will go with iPhone 11X, but then you can also select Android, you can select desktop, or even the print sizes, depending on what you are designing for. So we are starting with this one. And this will already be the preview of our first screen. Remember the one with the little tickets? So let me just quickly rename it because I like to keep my files in order. So in order to remain these artboards, I can go to the layer panel, double click on it, and you call it, say, tickets. You see, it appeared here. The most important elements on this page that we're going to reuse on different ones as well will be header and footer. Header for mobile will be a rectangle. In order to create a rectangle, you can go here to this section, you see, or you can press R on your keyboard. This is the shortcut. So I am going to press R, which I do have here. And I will need a rectangle, which is the width of the screen, 375, and the height will be 80 pixels. You can change the width and the height, and as well as the X and Y position on the artboard right here on the panel. So I'm doing this one. I would like to set the primary color that I have here, this orange color, and I already have it saved here. But if you don't have the layer cells set, then you can press here on fill and select the color manually. For example, you can enter the hex code, or you can use the color picker. So I can use the color picker. I would go here. And now I have this on this orange color. So if you would like to have this shade on your working file as well, you can just duplicate my files that you're accessing. Remember when I was on the main page and I right click on the file and set create a duplicate, or you can do it from view only version right here, then you'll be able to do the same like I'm doing here right now. On my header, what I will need is the status bar. Remember the one that shows you the time and the battery life and the Wi-Fi signal and so on. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel in this case, and I'm just going to use the one which is already created for iOS phones. And as saved it as a component, I'm going to tell you more about components later. But these are shortly just the reusable elements that we save in the app that you can then apply to multiple sources. So I can go from layers to assets. I can select it and simply drag and drop it to the place I need. So it is here right now. I just want these two elements to be top aligned. I can do it from here and left aligned. And now I can see that my status bar is a little bit not as wide as I need, so I can just drag it to be 375. So I'm good here. The next thing is to add the logo icon and the menu icon, and then the name of the movie theater. So here, in order to add this icon, I'm going to go to no, let's do it differently and not complete the image, but also I will actually go to Finder in my computer, open the folder where I do have those. Probably you're not seeing what I'm doing, but still, you just open the folder on your computer. Go to icons folder and select those theater and menu icons and drag them to your Figma file. So now you see I can have them. I do have them here. I'm going to place them with I'm aligning it with the bottom. And I want the space between my icon and this part to be 15 pixels. Let me check how much I have right now. So right now I have 27, and in order to see this measurement, what I do, I just click Alt, Option key on my computer, and then I hover on the element. So while I have it selected, I hover on the elements, I can inspect what they're spacing. It's 27 here. I want it to be 15. I place it, and I want it to be 10 from the bottom. So we're all set now. And with the menu icon, I'm going to do the same, but to the right side. So it will be right here. You see, it is giving you the hint when it's actually crossing, like getting close to the borders of different elements. So now I have it here. I do 10 pixels up and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 pixels to the left. We're all set, 15, 10. And the last thing here in the header is the name of our movie theater. In order to edit, I'll use X tool, which you can do from here, or press button on your keyboard. I place it here. I call it Galaxy. And I want to change the font. My font here will be monotone. By the way, these lists of the fonts you get to see, these are all Google fonts. They're all free to use. So you can always go there and use one of them. Okay, it looks like there are a lot of them. So let me just type it, monotone. It's this one, it will be 18 pixels. And I want it to be a little bit wider, like the letters between one from another will be separated more. I'm adding letter spacing 0.5, increasing the space here. I want this element to be 25 pixels height as well as my icons, so that they could be aligned perfectly, and it's 10 pixels from the bottom. So we're all set. I would like to now save this header as a component so that I can reuse it on my other pages as well. So I'm selecting all these elements. I can actually do it right here. So it's the background, icon, text, and the status bar. All of them are selected right now. In order to select all of them, I press Shift key on my keyboard, and then pressing Shift, I just click on all the elements one by one. So once I have them, wait. No, I don't. Okay. So once I have all of them selected, 1, 3, 4, 5. I can press this little symbol right here, which will create a component. Okay, I forgot, I believe this icon here. Yeah, for some reason, it's just selecting the whole thing here. I'll probably have to group them first. I'm grouping the elements. But okay. Let me just group these items. And also the other thing that I wanted to add to this whole, that happened because my frames for menu and theater were outside of my the whole artboard. So right now I have all of them together and they should be good to go. Now this is a component. I will name this component header. Now, as you can see, once you press the Assist tab, it will be available here. So the next thing is to add the background to the whole thing. And the background color here will be one of those that I have here, the dark color. I have it saved as neutral dark. The hex code for it is 000719. You can take it. So I pressed my artboard, went there to the colors and selected this color. Another thing that I wanted to add was a footer. So for my footer, I will need another rectangle. For that one, again, I will press R on my keyboard. And we already know, and I will add the rectangle, which will be 375 in width, and it will be 60 pixels high. 375. The color I will have from my saved files, which will be lighter. If you need the hex color, it will be 1A2235. Then I'm going to add there 3 icons. Again, to add the icons, I will go to my Finder where all the icons are, select Home, Movies, and Tickets icons, and I will move them inside this rectangle as well, right here. And I just need to place them correctly. So the first icon, my home icon will be 10 pixels down from here, and its exposition will be 50 pixels, meaning that the space now is 10 pixels here and 50 pixels here. Another thing I want to do is to have my tickets on the opposite side. It will be again 10 pixels from the top, which you can see, and 34, I want it to be 50 pixels. So it's 50 pixels here, 10 pixels here, and then I will top align these elements as well. But I want this one to be aligned with the center of the footer itself. So I can select pressing Shift the cinema icon and the background and pressing center line. So we're good here. I need to add labels. That's what we're talking about. UX is we're not assuming that everyone knows what these icons mean. So we're adding labels to these icons. I'm pressing T on my keyboard and adding text here. The text here will be home. As you can see, it's really weird right now. Why? Because we need to change the font. It will be Roboto. It will be a small one as it's only a caption. It could be 10. Letter spacing will be outer here. Or 0. And the color will be a little bit off-white. I have it here like primary color. You can use white or you can use slightly off-white color. It's this one. And I want to have 5 pixels between this and this. Now I have 3. I'm doing 5 right now. I need to make sure that this element is centered with my icon. When I was moving it, I was pressing Shift in order to make sure that its horizontal position is maintained. But then when I was moving it and getting closer to the center, you see this red line appears, showing that they're centered now. I'm going to do the same for my icon, which I have right here, which will be movies. And I need the third one for the tickets. How I'm duplicating it, you can press Command D, and then pressing Shift, I'm just dragging it to the right and saying that these are tickets. But once this one is kind of selected, you see it's not outlined, it's filled. I want it to be different color as well, so I'm changing it to my primary color. And I want it to be not regular, but maybe medium, so it will be different weight. Now we have this one done. Again, we have to make sure that everything within one frame, and I'm selecting all these elements, which are the background, tickets, movies, home, and icons. 1, 2, 3. I can see that all of them are together. Now I'm good to go and create a component named footer. Now it will appear in our assets of reusable elements here as well. So it will be easy for us to insert next when we're designing the second screen, which let me show you how to do. It's not, I mean, you can actually just copy this screen. You are selecting the name of the artboard, pressing Shift and Alt on your keyboard, and then you're dragging it. It's one thing. But if you wouldn't have it, say you don't have the header here, what you can do, you can go to your assets, press tickets, and then header, and then you just drop it here. You see? The same element. I didn't have to design anything at all. But let's make sure that it is renamed. It will be tickets, say, extended, because remember that the second screen was showing more about the movie. And now the next thing to do for us will be the movie card. And the movie card will have the background. It will have an image on it. It will have some text, QR code. In order for you to make it easy for the first time, I've created this background and I've saved it as a component as well. So we're going to just insert it here. So remember, assets, movie card background, drag and drop here. So we do have this one. And then the next thing, I will need an image. For image, I do have this shape created. which I'm going just a line with my card, and then we're going 10 pixels up. In order to go 10 pixels up, I press Shift on my keyboard and key to go up and right. So it's already kind of outside of the card. This was basically the shape. It could be any shape, could be a rectangle, ellipse, polygon, star, or any custom tool built with a vector. And then instead of having it as a field, say, for example, if I would create a rectangle, it will be gray by default, but then I can go here, solid, you see that shows that it's color, but I can press and say that this is an image. Then that's how I get these things. And it will be reusable because from here I will be able to open an image that I've saved somewhere on my computer. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. And my first movie here, so I double click on my element, press image, choose image, and I'm going for news of the world. Oh, let's go for the first one, Fatale. So I do have this image here selected, and now we'll need some information about the movie itself. Again, text tool, adding it here. The name of the movie is Fatale, but I'm going to change the color to my primary one, and I will need to change the text attributes as well here in this panel. I'm going for robot is okay, medium is okay, but the size here will be 18 so that we add some hierarchy to our information. We'll left align it. It's okay to be aligned to the top, but you see what happens right now that it is only suitable for one line. What happens if the movie name is longer? I would like to leave it longer space so that the 2 lines name would fit as well. So I would like to leave this text box with a height of 45 pixels. I will need the space here, say 5 pixels. This one, because it's already, you see, it's not as wide, so it's okay to have 5 pixels. Then another line will be the location of the movie theater. So again, I'm doing the text box. My text box here will be city, center, Mall Amsterdam. I want to make it smaller, which in my case will be 14 pixels. It will be white, but not primary, but secondary. And it will be regular, not medium. 2 lines, I make it bigger. I think 30 pixels is okay. And the space here is 10 pixels, which is okay for now. And I'm also copying this one to go below. I will need 1 line of text, so it's okay to have it in 15 pixels. The space will be 5 between these 2 elements, and I will enter the date and time. So they say this Friday, February 5th, at 7 p.m. I probably would like to move this one a little bit to the top. So I have 10 pixels in between. I'm adding the QR code here, which again, I'm just dropping. And this QR code here will be a smaller in size, of course, not 90, say it is 45, but you see what happened. It just shrinks in the width, but not in the height. So I have to log the proportions. I put here 45, and then I'm good. I want to center align it with my ticket, and I want 10 pixels on the right. So we're good here. And I'm going to copy this element, but I will make it adjusting its width to the content, and my content here will be to adults. Let me just move it so that you can see it. And I wanted this element to be center aligned with my QR code. Okay. Cool. Now this card is actually ready, so we're going to save it as a component so that we will be able to reuse it and create another full card. So as you remember, in order to create the component, I am selecting all these elements, which is my background, image, name, location, date, QR code, and the number of tickets. All of them are selected right now. Just checking that everything is together. Component. It's done. Renaming it to the movie card. And that's pretty much it here, creating this card. So let's add the header to this page, which will be our H1. And in this case, it is your tickets. So your tickets, a text tool, pressing. Okay, you cannot see it right now because of the color. But once I do have it selected, I will go ahead and select my primary white color. And this one will be bigger in size. So I do it 28. Probably the text box height will be 30. And now I just have to align it properly. I want the space between my text box and the header to be 50 pixels, which is right now, and I want here 15 pixels, which I have here, X value. This one will have 15 pixels from the header. Okay, and now I'm ready to copy these elements and do, say, 5 of them. In order to duplicate them, I press again Shift and Alt or Option, or Shift and Option on my keyboard together. Hover on the element and just drag it below. You see, I can see the space between the elements. I want them to be 15 exactly, because now once I have it ready, I can just duplicate them and it will place them accordingly. Like right now, I'm pressing Command, Control on my keyboard and D, and it's duplicating it, you see? And then one more and another one. But now they're going below the height of the artboard that I have, which is okay. That's how we create the whole scrolling interaction. So in order to extend the screen, I will just click here on tickets of the name of the artboard. And I would say here, fit. You see, now it just fitted it to include all the elements. But I still need it to be a little bit longer because I need the space for my footer, which is 60 pixels, and I need another, say, 30 pixels space between the last card and the footer. So having this length, I would go here, H, the height of the whole artboard, and I will use this window like a calculator. So right now it's 935 pixels. I'm pressing here plus. I said 60 and 30, so I press 90. Now I have enough space. I'm moving my footer to the bottom. So what I can do, I can select it and press this bottom thing. It will align it with the bottom of the page. The last thing to do is to fix position when scrolling. This will have this footer always at the bottom of your screen when you're scrolling. So right now what we can do, we can actually replace all these elements that we have here. So I will go here and replace the image. You see, as I've shown you, I can go here and select use of the world. Okay, the first one. Okay, this was a master component. So what the major thing I change here, it will be changed throughout the whole design. So I want this one to be separately, actually, not even on my artboard, not to look for it later. So I will just get it from here and move to my components sheet. And I will just duplicate one of the instances here. So right now I can go, this one is good. I will go here to the second card and change the image to another one. Cool. Third one, image. Will be Wonder Woman. And that's basically how we get it one by one. You click on it, you select it, and select the image that you need. And the fifth one. Monster Hunter, done. So the same thing you can do with all the elements on the card, which I'm not going to change right now, but actually you can see that, for example, here, you can double click on it and edit it, say use of the world. The same you can do with location, time, adults. This will be Wonder Woman. So you got it. I'm going to skip this part and get straight to the second screen where we had the extended card. And for that extended card, I am going to, I think I will just copy the ones that I have in order to create the interaction. But no, let's go with this card. So first of all, I would need the H1 to this page as well. So I'm just copying this element. Command C, select this one, Command V, so it gets to the same position, at the same your tickets. I will need to create a larger rectangle. So I'm pressing R key on my artboard. Doing the rectangle, the width of it will be 315. The height will be 495. Or maybe let's do it a little bit shorter, 495. Yeah, 315, 495. It's good. Center lining it with the artboard. I would like to make the corners rounded. So using this property here, I can add the corner radius, you see? And the color will be the one that I have here, card background selected, not the default. Then I'm adding the image itself, again, dragging it straight to the corner first. And then I want it to be 15 pixels up and 50 pixels to the right. Name of the movie. So all these things, they will go there as well. So probably I will just go and copy paste them in order not to redo. 1, 2, 3 adults. Cool. I am entering them here. They were not copied. So 1, 2. Command C. Command V. So they're right here. I'm dragging it to the card. And I will also need the name of the movie, of course. This is basically copy pasting it as well. In this case, I can make it a little bit bigger, I believe. It will be placed 30 pixels from the top. I can make it a little bit wider. And I will change the font size here, 20. Okay, I just see the question in the chat. No, I am working on another file, which I made like a duplicate from the one that you have. So if you are in that Figma file, you go here in your view options, press duplicate, and you can work on it. And you're going to watch what I'm doing here right now. And then I'm going to copy these screens and enter them to the file that you have so that you can confirm things. We're going to do it while we're doing the Q&A after we finish this card. So I need these elements to go a little bit lower. So it will be here. The card will be bigger. I think you could take the whole line. This one here, the number of people, and also I'm going to add the description of the movie here as well. But for this one, I will need a bigger text box. Just doing it wider and taller, and I'm going to insert the text from the file, which is right here. And this is the description of Fatale movie. So I'm going here and basically just copy pasting this. And another thing that we need here is the movie details, which I have here as well, which is running time, country, and director. Copying, pasting it here. The text was extremely big. Yeah. Now it is outside of my tickets extended frame, so that's why we cannot see it here. So I need to move it in. And now I'm going to align this text with my header, and we're all set here. I just wanted to change the font color of this element, which will be my secondary color, not primary, but secondary. Okay, it's good. The date will be medium, and this one will be primary color, which is right here. And the last thing to add to this card is the QR code, which again we have in our assets. Drag and drop. It is a good size for this one. It will be 90 pixels. So I'm just aligning it to the bottom right corner and doing 15 pixels distance. Which is right here, 15 and 15. So this one is done. I need to add an image. This one you probably already remember. Double click on it, go to image. And this one. Right now, I'm just going to add another copy of this card in order to add the swipe gesture right here on the left. So to do so, I'm going to group all these elements, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Grouping them, I will name it movie 2. And I will duplicate it, like Command D, move it a little bit, and I will just change the image and the name for you to see the difference. I'm not going to change all the details. You can go ahead and change it later with all the text that I have prepared there for you. So I'm just changing this. And here I will also need to change the background, as it will be not selected, but the default. And I need this card to be smaller. So I'm just getting here the corner, pressing Shift and Alt on my keyboard and moving a little bit here, toward the center. It is resized now. Now I have to move it by using the arrows on the keyboard, not the mouse. I would move it from here. And I will add a transparency to it. And the last thing here, I have to make sure that this element is behind my main card, because right now it is in front of it when we can see it here. So I have to move it here behind. Now it's all good. Okay, before we are going toward the prototyping, I want to open up for the technical questions that you might have. So let's check them out. I will go through Q&A and also check the chat as well.
Hi, Dina. I was going to just say that to you. Maybe I can help you go through the questions. And we have a few in here that are a bit older from the beginning, so maybe some of them were clear, but we can go through them again. And someone here was asking, can you also use Figma to create your own visuals, like a logo or your own components?
Yes, absolutely. Say all these elements that I made, they were custom made using, for example, the vector tool. This one is pen and pencil. These are the tools that I use to create the logo, exactly like you would do it in Illustrator. Or you can, for example, do a rectangle and then change, the corners, use the masking tool, because, for example, these ones, you see, these were created by using the masking tool. So unfortunately, I do not have time to go deeper into it, but the answer is yes, totally you can do it. It's not the best tool for creating logos though, but yes, you can do the simpler ones.
I hope that answers you. And in here, we have a few technical questions. And guys, I just wanted to reinforce these for those of you who seem to be a bit lost on some things. Dina is here asking some a pre-made Figma file with some files for you to view. You could download the materials, all right? Or you could use your own icons if you had them. But in any case, remember that this is recorded. So if you feel like you are not keeping up with some things, I've seen this suggestion in here. If you feel like you're getting behind, be careful listening, and then you can review and try on your own later. In any case, someone here was asking, can you import layered PSD files or AI files and move them around in Figma?
AI files, yes, you can, but they are always glitchy, so I wouldn't recommend it. As for the other vector formats, you can use EPS and SVG and PDF. So these are easily imported if you're talking about the vector files. And of course, all the images like JPEG and GIF, they're easily going there as well. AI and Photoshop files, Photoshop is not opening at all. AI, yes, it does open, but like never works well.
All right. In here, someone's asking how to store the components in order to use in different projects or insert UI kits from the Figma community.
You can save it like a library and then use it, or you can simply just duplicate that library that you found in the community file to your Figma space, and then from there you would just copy the elements and insert them into your working file as well.
All right. And maybe just one last question before we go. In here, Elder was asking, why are you not using a grid view?
I am not sure I understand the question here.
Maybe Elder, you can tell us a bit more. Maybe you have a reference from another tool in which you use a grid view. Let us know if that is a question that you still have. But I think that in any case, I would continue right now, Dina, right? And let's leave some of these questions to the end. And again, guys, I would please make sure that you are following all the explanation that's been held in here, because as I told you before, you can see the recording if you're still missing some things. Try to keep up. But let's maybe continue. What do you think, Dina?
I would be glad to do so, but my Chrome froze. Okay, now it's good because I was about to extend my Q&A time. But no, we're good to go. So adding the drag animation will take us a little bit time. So I will prefer to start prototyping now, and then we can go to drag interaction if you have time for that one. Browse again. Okay, maybe questions?
So if we have time, as I can see, for a few more questions, is that it?
Yep. Yes, I think we can go through a couple of questions.
Yeah, Elder here said, grid view like Bootstrap, like to align the elements. I'm
Sorry?
guessing. A grid view like Bootstrap. Regarding the grid view. I'm guessing it's a way, he's asking if you're not using or why you're not using any setting, let's say, to align your elements. But I'm guessing you don't need that with Figma, right?
No, actually, it's a very good one. Thanks for asking. And normally I would use them like every single time. It's just for the sake of not having enough time to set up the file properly. Because for that one, I will need to set the rulers, the layout, and so on. And Figma is beautiful in it. You can save all the layout as a grid there, as reusable elements. So it's really good for that purpose. I'm just not using it for this particular exercise.
Okay, all right. We have here another question. Not completely sure I understand. Let me know, Dina, if you get it. Is there a way to add a non-visual description or alt text to any visual element for assistive technology?
No, not really. The only thing that you can add is for your internal use at the product team is to add commenting, like pressing here and then clicking on any element, and it will be visible for everyone who has the view access. But that's pretty much it.
All right. Are we ready for a few more questions, or are ready to go on?
Oh, questions.
All right. In here, how in Figma can one select or deselect certain screens to include in a Figma slideshow?
Actually, all of them will go to the slideshow, at least all the ones that are like connected through the interaction that we're going to add right now using this prototype tool. So if you do not want to show something, what you would like to do is here you see this movie theater app is actually the page. So I can use and add another page, and I would hide all the screens that I don't need right here. I will just copy them from here and add to another screen. And then whatever I have on my movie theater app page and they are linked, they will go to the prototype. The other ones, no.
Right. Stephen, I hope that helped you. I hope that's what you wanted to know. Let me know in the chat if that's it. And Nicole here was asking, how do you manage the files so that they do not consume memory? If this is an issue.
They do consume memory, yes. And the good thing is to use the app itself. You have the desktop app, which again, right now I'm not using. But normally for most stable work, I would use the desktop app for it. And also the good thing is, the good practice is to make sure that the images that you are importing, they're of the proper size, that you are not getting them from Shutterstock, with 80 megabytes of size, but you're sizing them somewhere like to 1, 2, 3 megabytes. That will help the memory.
All right. I hope that helped you, Nicole. And here Katie was asking, can you import interactive animations?
If you can save them as GIF files, then yes. And that's easy. I mean, you can basically save a lot of elements like GIF, and then you can add them here.
Is that what you wanted to know, Katie? I hope so. And someone here before was asking, does Figma enable A11Y testing, like letting you know selected colors or do not meet the that do or do not meet minimum contrast and other tests?
It's not a built-in option. At the same time, we have plenty of plugins in Figma, and you can get them from Figma community. Top on the website, and one of those is Start. It's a really good tool for checking the contrast, and we're using it like on every project. So you would select 2 elements, then you will run the plugin, and it will show you if the contrast is enough or not. You
All
see, you
right.
can see the visual simulator for different deficiencies of the vision, the color contrast, and so on.
So it's an
And
alternative
I
way
think
to
we
do
are
it.
ready. Yes. I think we are ready to move forward with the prototyping.
Perfect.
And then we'll have time for more questions.
Yeah, guys, I see here that we have some other few questions regarding the animations. Can they have an active button? Like, can they be clickable? From Katie, and from this moment on, we move on to the practice.
Yes, exactly. So now I hope I will get to answer some of your prototyping questions. So in the meanwhile, I've inserted from assets this barcode here because it will be an overlay. I just need it to be resized, so it will be bigger in size. I think it will be like 250 by 250, and I will need it to be a frame because right now it's just an element. In order for it to be a frame, I have it selected. I will press Alt Command G on my keyboard, and it will create a frame out of it. Rename it to QR code, and it's ready to be the overlay. So the first thing that I want to do is to add animation to this element. Like from here, if I click on it, I want to see this page. So we have this element selected, which is the clickable element. We go to prototype mode here on our design panel. And once I click there, if you can see, I have the little thing here, the plus, which means that I'm ready to add the animation. So I'm basically just dragging it to the screen where it goes. And these are the interaction detail that I mentioned in the presentation. So the trigger on top, that's exactly what I'm doing, because when I tap on it, I want it to do an action. We will navigate to this page, the next one, tickets extended. That's exactly what I need. So right now we already have our first interaction. And in order to see it, we can select it. You see this shows the starting of the prototype. Clicking play button here in the top right corner. And loading the prototype. At the same time, if you do have your Figma app open on the phone and you select the artboard in the Figma file, you would see it right there. So I have it here. And if I tap now on this element, I get to see this page. The other adjustment that I was able to do here was not to do it instant, but to do it a little bit funnier, I would say. So I changed it to Smart Animate so that it would transition the elements that are similar from one page to another one. And I will try to do it again. Loading the page. So I'm right here. You see, it's appearing like smoother. It's just showing the transition between the elements, like I had the image, the text, and so on. And now the other thing that we're going to do is imitating that we're clicking on the QR code and what would happen. Because when I'm here, I want to select my QR code. And on clicking on it, I would like to use this one like an overlay. So you see on top, I would not navigate to, but I will open overlay, which means that it will still be staying on the same page. So I don't have to design it, but it will add the overlay, like the top layer on the top of it. It will be centered, could be left aligned or like bottom. This works good for the menus and this for the notifications, but in my case, it will be centered. Close when clicking outside, yes. Add background behind overlay, yes, I want it to be a little bit more dark than it is. Not, so it will be 50% transparent black. And it will be not instant, but I want it to dissolve, to be a little bit smoother. So let's see what we've got. You see? Now it's an overlay. And once I click anywhere outside of this QR code, I will just go back. That's how it works. Let me just add a little animation here as well to my tickets on the footer so that whenever I press on it, I will go back to my tickets page. As this is reusable component, I don't really have to do it page by page. I can go to the main component, to this one, select it, and say that the animation here will be going to this screen, the same one, and it will be on top. It will go to the navigate to tickets. Okay, it doesn't want to do it to the same page from the component, but again, I can just separate the component. And I will have here its instance. And from the instance, and then I will be able to do it from here to this screen. And it will be on top, navigated tickets. Dissolve, no, maybe it will be move out. To the left, okay. So now let's see how it works. It was not applied yet. In the meantime, I also wanted really to show you how to add the drag animation here in order to swipe the cards. So we'll do it like the simplified version of it. By the way, it doesn't really mean where your artboards are. So it's disconnecting it, knowing the names of the artboard. So I can move it here, and I will do the duplicate of this page. And then here on drag interaction, what will happen, this one will actually shrink in size, exactly like we did with the previous card. So it will be approximately like that. Then I will have to move it outside of the artboard so that it will kind of go there that right way. And this one will actually go to the center. Remember, I added transparency to it, so it will not be transparent anymore. It will be 100%, and I will have to make it big again. So ideally, I would just use the same size here like I have it, but I will go with this one right now. We'll just change the background to select it. And that is it. So now I'm able to add another drag animation. So in order to do so, I will select this card. And I will go to my prototype. You see now I have this one, plus I'm adding animation to this screen. But how we get there, it will be not on top, but on drag. And on drag, I will navigate to this screen, I would like to actually rename it so it is extended to this one. It will be going here. Okay, move out. So yes, that's exactly what I want. I want this one to go to the right. And then the opposite. From here, animation will go to this screen. We'll go to the left. So now we're all set for this one. Let's see. Okay, done. This one you see I put on top, not on drag. And I actually don't want to move it, move out. I want to do it like smart animate, so it will be smoother, the whole transition. And the same for this one. Instead of move out, I will do smart animate. One, preview. Let's reload the file, or you can check it on your phone as well. And by the way, once we finish the workshop, what I'm going to do, I will go to my initial file where you have the whole prototype with all the links, all the proper dragging connections and so on with all the cards. I will insert them there so you can play the prototype. You can check all the settings that I was using if you would like to go ahead and replicate the screen and the whole prototype. Okay, almost there. Okay, while this one is loading, I've seen the question there about my previous phone is different model. How can I change it? You can easily change it here in your Figma file in prototype, show prototype settings. So you select the device, the model even to make it fancier, and you even can change the background, of displaying. Mine is dark. If you would like to make it lighter, you can just change the color here. And starting frame, it's this one. You can either just drag it and drop it to another one, or you can change it from here to say which one is the start of your prototype. So I'm clicking here. This one appears. Going back and forth with drag animation. And remember, overlay. Done. So that's basically it, the quick version of this movie app. And once you're done with your prototype and ready to share something with your stakeholders, with your friends, or with whoever you would like to, you can easily do so by pressing sharing button here. You get the link. You can change the permissions where they can only view, like you have right now with my file, or they can edit if you are collaborating with another designer. For commenting, by the way, you do not need to give them the editing view because they will be able to comment in view permission as well. Then you copy a link, share it to anywhere you would like to, and then they will be able to access your prototype the same way you do it. So that is it for right now, just because I wanted to open up for the last set of questions before we finish it tonight. And as a promise, I will add all the screens to the Figma file that you have access to.
Hi again.
Raquel.
How was it? How was it for everyone? This was dense. Let's see if we still have a few questions. We don't have time for a lot of questions, so if you want to make your questions, do them now. But I think we can start with a question from the beginning, because we promised that we would keep on pursuing this topic, which is the main difference between UX UI designer, just the UX UI designer, and the product designer.
Mm-hmm. So as I've quickly mentioned, product designer is a wider term that includes UX UI design. But a part of that, it would already, it can also include something like project manager. It could also include interaction designer, or I don't know, like motion designer. So all of them will go into product designer. And also product designer is something that we use not only for digital product, like often websites, but also for any kind of product. I don't know, if you are creating the t-shirt, you know, there will be a product designer. So in all these senses, product designer is a wider term. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will require the technical skills. You might be collaborating with a, say, UI designer who would be doing the whole visual part and UX part, and you will be doing some kind of, I don't know, like maybe concept sketching or something like that.
Do you think that a product designer is a natural step after you are a few years or you have some experience as an UX UI designer?
Could be yes, could be no. Actually, it's both ways. So sometimes people going from product designer go to UX UI design because they were doing something slightly different, but design related. At the same time, yes, it could be like a next step, because then it will become more of a managerial role instead of hands-on experience.
Yeah. All right. Here, Nur is asking an interesting question, so maybe you can tackle this one. What's the best way to start such a project? Because it seems that you have all the elements ready before you start designing all the screens. So how did you start?
You join UX UI design bootcamp. That's the best start. But no, seriously, I mean, that's a really good question, because in normal life, in my design life, I would never ever start like with all the elements set, because we always go through the whole design thinking process, so-called, which starts with their research, with gathering data, analyzing it, checking for the competitors, for the whole like state of design and so on, and the requirements of the users as well. And remember, I was already mentioning something like surroundings of the user, like why they need it, when they will be using this product, what kind of information. And this is something that's not coming just from the top of your head. This is something that you get from the results of your research. And this is something that you do either with a UX designer in the smaller teams, or you would have a separate research team. And then you will be making your design decisions based on your findings.
Yeah.
So prototyping is actually the fourth step of the whole design thinking process, not the first one.
All right. I hope that answered. And to complement, if you're thinking about, for you, it's just the beginning and you really want to dive into it and really want to learn more about UX UI and become a UX UI designer, we have a bootcamp. And if you want to know more, you can click here on the green button and you will find one of the links is for the website. So you can see the description of the course and all you need to know. And if you have any questions, just ask us later about the bootcamp or if you want to know anything about it. But, well, moving on to the next question. Here, someone is asking, does Figma have a certification? Like, can you be certified in operating in this platform? Or if not, could you recommend a place where you can learn about this?
You don't need any certification to use Figma. It's really free to everyone. How you can learn? First of all, on the Figma site itself, because they have a very good learning platform, and then accessing their community file, they would have a lot of examples of different works, of elements, and UI kits, and so on. But how to use the tool itself, just figma.com. There you have learning resources and just move forward from there. And they also have their YouTube channel. You will be linked to that YouTube channel a lot from the learning platform on Figma itself. So you can learn at least the visual part of this whole UI design process directly from the website and from YouTube.
All right, I hope that answered. So pretty much Figma will explain you the whole way into using its own tool.
Yep.
Can you import an HTML interactive animation?
Yes, again, if you save it like a GIF file, but that's the only way you can do it.
All right. Well, just one last question because we are a bit on time, a bit extra time, I would say. So is it possible to create looping animations like a loading bar or something like this?
Yes, and Figma is doing really good job on it. It's just one of the animations that you do there. It will be, say, from here, you see. It's not on drag, but it will be after delay, and that's how we are creating looping animations. Right now it's deactivated because this animation is only available between the frames, like not between the elements, but the artworks themselves. So I have this one selected, go to interactions, and I can have after delay. And then I say, okay, after 1 second, 0.3 seconds, you can go to the next screen, and so on. So that's why you can do it like till eternity.
All right. I hope that answered. And I'm sorry, guys, we don't have time for more questions. But just to be clear, for those of you wondering where you can see the recording, because I imagine you want to review this, you can access it through this very link. So after we finish this webinar, if you come to this link, you will see the recording just automatically like that, and no need to do anything else. However, you will receive a follow-up email, so you can keep it and you can look into it and you can hear from us for other webinars. And on that note, if you want to look into upcoming webinars, next week, for instance, we will have these for web development. So this means that you will build your first app. We'll code your first app with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can click here on the green button and you will see all the upcoming webinars that we have. But I think that's it. Do you want to add anything else, Tina, before we go?
I've seen the last very quick question here.
Okay.
From North, asking like, can one use the code once we create these? Yes, you definitely can do it. For the first thing is you can use the inspect tool, which is a big help when it comes to CSS, iOS, Android development. So in some cases, you're basically just copy pasting it into your CSS file, or you are just getting the element that you need. Right now, for example, I have, say, this card, and I already have its CSS properties, or the one that I will need to the app development. Or you can use like Anima plugin or another one that will make the like whole front end page, at least from your designs. Yes, you cannot add the backend bit, but the front end definitely, and copy pasting is available within this tool.
It's amazing. All right. I hope that answers.
That's not a great reason for using Figma, actually.
Yeah, and just very quick to answer here a question about the bootcamp on the site. If you're looking into the bootcamp, you need to select each campus because each campus has a different financing option. So you need to look into each campus to see the price and the costs. You prefer remote, or maybe you are from one of the cities in which you have a bootcamp in. So check that. And well, thank you so much, Tina, for this webinar today. I know, guys, this can be very dense, and I hope you can review this and practice on your own and try to build your own. If you want to learn more and if you really want to make this a career for you, we'd be very happy to welcome you in our bootcamp in any of the campuses that we have. And I really hope that you're here next week to apply this with code. So this or another template, but to actually build a web app. So I think that's it. If you don't have anything to add, Dina, I think we're good.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for being with us this Monday evening. I hope that was useful for you, and I would be glad to see you in the upcoming webinars as well.
Yes.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.